Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2004 here in TEW 2020 as it's time for Nitro Revolution as we're 2 shows out from Mayhem as we start the second round of the tournament tonight. So let's get rolling as we start outside basically with a little bit of earlier tonight with RVD wanting to go after Helms, but basically trying to get into Helms' private locker room, but Bischoff and Hardy with him, and Bischoff's like, look, I understand, but you're still part of, you're still part of the tournament. And more importantly, like, you don't want to give Helms any excuse to try to get out of your title match, okay? I understand. You're upset. And Hardy's like, look, man, yeah. Toland and Helms screwed me over. But look, you take care of Toland tomorrow night in Revolution. And at Mayhem, I'll beat Helms' ass. Remind him why I may have helped him train up in North Carolina, but I didn't teach him everything, and then me and you, we could have a match for the ages. And Van Dam's like, look, still not happy about you being screwed over, man, but if you're okay with it, then cool. Let's just kick some ass together. And they shake hands. It looks like no attacks lead for tonight, but still building up, the fact that, Helms like he's screwed over Hardy, in the tournament, but RVD is going for a bit of revenge over Tank Toland at Revolution. And this gets a 99 and fun stuff. And then we go to the opening basic graphics where the announcers put over our big matches for tonight, which is going to be Booker T versus AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett versus Paul London, Keenan Sharp versus Alex Wright, and Mike Awesome versus Brother Ray. And this gets a 71 as it's a quick little 1 minute graphics just going over the tournament. And then we have our first match, which is Paul London versus Jeff Jarrett. And it's sort of the match you expect from these two. London goes for some high flying early, but Jarrett fights back with some brawling and cheating, goes after London's knees, so his can't goes up top. But, London still fights back. But it looks like Jarrett is going to get the win as he, he actually hits a pile driver. It looks like he's going to go for a stroke. But London blocks it, hits a wacky roll up for a quick near fall, hits some another quick high flying moves. And it looks like he's, going to get some advantage when Jindrak comes out. And then there's some, wacky shenanigans involving Jindrak trying to, get the guitar into Jarrett. There's some miscommunication. Jindrak actually bonks Jarrett. That allows London to basically hit a dive, hit a sort of springboard dropkick to hit Jindrak off the railing into the barrier outside, and then hit a quick sunset flip roll up onto London. On the Jeff Jarrett, and a huge shocker, get the 1, 2, 3. As Paul London advances into the Elite 8 and gets a huge win over Jeff Jarrett, thanks to Mark Jindrak, basically, some heel shenanigans backfiring on them. As Paul London gets a huge upset here in about 9 minutes, it gets an 81, Jarrett gets an 88, London gets a 77, backstage stuff. Jarrett was not happy about this, but I'll throw him some money and he'll be happy because, again, unfortunately, the game doesn't allow you to basically say, hey, Jeff, you're not actually losing, you're basically some heel shenanigans, but, whatever. So I'll just throw him some money and he'll be happy over it. And of course, post-match, London basically, as soon as he gets a 3, he pops up, raises his hands to the crowd as they pop, and then dives over the top rope, basically over the top rope into the ringside area, then escapes through the crowd as Jindrak and Divine try to go after him before Jarrett starts reading them the riot act. As, put over, Jeff Jarrett cannot be happy, as now all of the chosen few are out of the Mayhem tournament, as this gets a 70. And then we go backstage, where Booker T is with Sharmal, and he says, tonight, in the main event, I continue to prove why I'm the best wrestler in the world. And yeah, Sharmal, you got lucky. That's why you're not the world champion anymore, second. That's why you're off crying about your partner turning on or whatever. But what's more important is tonight, AJ Styles, you have a lot of talent. You got a lot going for you in the future. But right now is my time. It's a time for the six-time world champion to remind everybody why he is going to win this Mayhem tournament. Can you dig that? So just a quick just a quick backstage promo for Booker T to put over, his match tonight versus AJ Styles in the Mayhem tournament, and remind people, he's the world champion and all the other fun stuff as we move forward to a fun little squash, as in the continuation of the angle where Joanie Laurer, our current WCW Women's World Champion, has to wrestle every single week on TV. on every show. She faces off against the young Roni Jonah, and unfortunately for Roni Jonah, Joanie Laurer is still Joanie Laurer, and she runs over in about 4 minutes with the powerbomb. This gets a 70, as Joanie gets a 94. Again, just stupid numbers. Roni Jonah gets a 33, and yeah, just a complete squash. Like, Roni gets a little bit of offense in, but this is just basically Joanie throwing her around. And then she picks up Roni again, hits her with a powerbomb, and then, basically calls out to the crowd, Bischoff, is this the best you got? I'm going to run over everybody, because I am the women's division. As she walks away, as this gets a 73, and we move forward. And after that, we go backstage, where, Eddy Guerrero is backstage doing whatever wrestlers do when they're not wrestling tonight. And he, Knoble walks in the locker room, and Eddy looks out at him with a sneer, and Knoble says, just come in here to remind you, Eddy, that last time we faced off, I beat you in that ring. And on Revolution, in a few days, I'm going to prove it wasn't a fluke, as I'm going to beat your ass again. And he just laughs and says, look, I say, yeah, you beat me. That's true. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to try to wiggle out of it or make some excuses. You beat me, Knoble. But in a way, I got to thank you. Because that loss reminded me that I was on the wrong path. It reminded me that I was taking too much time trying to amuse these fans, trying to amuse the WCW executive committee, trying to amuse those in charge, when I should have been doing what I should be doing. And Helms, you're not going to be facing the Eddy Guerrero you faced off with tomorrow night. You're going to be facing off Eddy Guerrero, who's embracing Guerrero family values completely. And I'm going to remind you, why you never should have tried to beat me at all, because this is all your fault. Just remember that. There's a stare down as Eddy nods at Ebony Sable and then walks away, as Knoble, just sort of is like sort of still smiling but upset but still cocky type thing heels do, as this gets an 84, and putting over the big match in the second round between Eddy Guerrero and Jamie Knoble, a rematch from our pay-per-view a few months ago. And then it's time for our next match of the tournament, which is going to be, if I remember right, let's just go forward. Yeah, okay, so yeah. This is Mike Awesome, it's Brother Ray, and these guys just beat the crap out of each other for 10 minutes. Like, it's basically relaxed roles, like, barriers, their chair shots get involved on both men, table gets set up, it never gets thrown through. Awesome, does some hits some big power slams, goes for the big Awesome bomb. Brother Ray fights out of it. Brother Ray does some brawling of his own, has a few big capture suplexes, hits a big lariat, but again, Awesome tries to hit the Awesome bomb again, but Brother Ray hits out of it and sneaks up behind him, hits the full Nelson bomb, and hits the 1, 2, 3 kind of shock pinfall to get the big upset here on Nitro over a triumvirate member. As again, this goes a little under 10 minutes in 9:45, as Brother Ray pins Mike Awesome with the full Nelson bomb. As this gets an 80, Mike Awesome gets an 86, Brother Ray gets a 77, and of course, a big, and again, sort of Awesome also wasn't entirely happy about this, which is unfortunate, but, no, he has to accept his proper spot here. Like, he still gets 86s, and I'm not going to, treat him as a jobber, but just because of his, backstage stuff, never going to get the super push. But anyway, post-match, of course, the Triumvirate try to run in, because, they sort of weren't quite ready for the match to end that shockingly. But, as Brother Ray fights, Lance Storm comes in and Brother Ray just tosses him to the outside. He fights with Kidman, but it looks like it's going to be 2-on-1. When Kanyon rolls in the ring, and boom, Canyon Cutter on Awesome, Canyon Cutter on Lance Storm as he tries to get in, and Kidman basically bails before Kanyon can go after him. Kanyon helps up Brother Ray, and they, share a quick nod of acknowledgement before facing off against the Triumvirate who are outside. As the announcers put over, it's Kanyon Kidman one more time on Revolution in the second round, as this gets an 84 and puts over, that storyline and everything moving forward. And then we go backstage, where Jeremy Sparash is with Keaton Sharp. Sharp says, tonight will only be a continuation of me proving that all of you should walk the path behind me. Tonight, I face a man who has been a champion, but who has never been anything on his own. See, Alex, if you follow my path, you'll have a teammate who wants to make you greater, as opposed to just treating you as a partner to walk away from. Because, Chavo, he's always been the lesser Guerrero. But you can be a greater Wright, Sharp. You can be a greater Wright, Alex. So accept that you should walk the path behind me. And we can walk it together. But only if you accept your proper place. Sharp walks away, and Boris just simply shakes his head as it want to do with heels. 76, really solid promo from Sharp here as we move forward to our not. Ooh, okay, this was actually pretty good considering this is heel on heel. So if this wasn't heel on face, this probably could have got like in the high 70s, low 80s. Anyway, it's Silver City Rollers versus America's Most Wanted. Now it's just put over that this is sort of a punishment for both teams, as Bischoff isn't happy with Helms' legacy for getting involved in the tournament, and of course AMW has been doing AMW things, including cheating to win versus the Hart Legacy. So this is basically like both teams, like sort of a mixed reaction for both teams. But America's Most Wanted are like sort of the more a little bit or the more flashy team, and honestly, like Silver City Rollers are connected with the currently our top heel champion, so they get a little more booze, but it's still mixed talk for both people and sort of like a muted reaction since it's heel on heel. But AMW hit some high impact moves. Silver City Rollers do some double teams. Reno hitting power slam, Cash hitting a splash, or hitting the sort of like super kick into a German suplex for Reno, stuff like that. But of course, both teams also cheat like hell, and at certain points, Ref sort of like ignores it. But then near the end of the match, Teddy Hart comes down to the ring. Chris Harris like sort of argues them, and that gives Cash just enough time to hit him from behind with a low blow, hit the dead level, and hit the 1, 2, 3 for the pinfall victory for the Silver City Rollers over America's Most Wanted. As this gets a 74, Reno gets a 77, Cash gets an 80, James Storm gets a 74, Chris Harris gets a 73, and fun stuff. So honestly, maybe it would have been like only would have been a couple points because they also got the chemistry bonuses still, despite being heels. Anyway, so what happens afterwards, of course, is America's Most Wanted aren't happy about that, and they go after Silver City Rollers. But Hart Legacy come in and actually sneak in from behind, go up to the top, and they dive on both guys, and then it's basically comes down to a 3-way brawl when the lights go out for a second and the lights come back on. As Macias and Morningstar, our current WCW Tag Team Champions, the two members of Deadpool come out and just have a basically stare down all three teams at the top of the ramp as they look at Macias and Morningstar and eventually start fighting again before WC officials break everything apart. And just put over that Macias and Morningstar are trying to determine their next tag team competitors in the division, as this gets an 80. And we move forward to our next match in the tournament, I believe. Oh no, wait. First we have, So we've got Chuck Palumbo with his new main squeeze, his new old lady, Raven Rating, and Rey Jr. basically, walks over to him and says, Palumbo, you're a scumbag. And at Revolution, I'm happy to prove to you that you're nothing but low down nerdy, that you're nothing but a scumbag, and I want to beat you for those fans who were behind you for so long. And Palumbo fires back. Look, Ray, I understand. You gotta appease the fans because otherwise nobody would give a damn about you if you weren't the little underdog getting your butt ass kicked. But I don't have to do that. I've got my own lady, I got my paramour, and I've realized I don't need to do what those fans think I should, or do what anybody thinks I should. I'm a man who has freedom. Because I've got my bike, I've got my woman, and that's all I need. And in a couple days, buddy, I'm going to kick your ass and leave you laying. And there's nothing those fans can do about it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, quick little promo hyping up their match at Revolution as part of the tournament. And okay, cool, that's good. Because again, I kept on forgetting to actually bring her up. I kept on borrowing her and changing her gimmick, but then there we go. So that's a great, gets right at least as we move forward to our next match, or not our next match, but also yes, our next match. Oh, oof. Okay. So this is a fun little match, and I imagine this is sort of a technical, not quite a come down match, but sort of just both guys doing their best to wrestle and fight and like try to just like get out of each other. So like I sort of like lots of holds, hammer locks, takedowns, knee locks, shoulder, like sort of like cross faces, underhook suplexes into submissions, leg locks, Indian death locks, Muay Thai kicks, brawling. But eventually Sharp like goes for one of his wacky submission holds, but Wright basically rolls out of it into a bridge and is able to lock it on in, and Wright actually gets the 1, 2, 3 pinfall after overkicking Sharp to advance into the Elite 8. As this gets a 77, Sharp sustains a bruised eye socket. So I imagine like sort of there's like a really like stiff like series of shots where Sharp hits a quick like sort of Muay Thai style kick, and Wright fires back with a big forearm, and now Sharp has a shiner. But Alex Wright gets a 79, Sharp gets an 82, but Wright with the big win as he celebrates after the match to a 71. But yeah, big win for Alex Wright as he's now part of the Elite 8. And he'll face off against the winner of the Eddy Guerrero Jamie Knoble match at the pay-per-view. And then backstage, we have a promo where Tank Toland is backstage with Dawn Marie as she says, "My man proved everybody wrong when he beat Jeff Hardy, and now the sexiest wrestler in WCW will prove why he deserves a shot at the top." Tank says, "You're right, baby. Nobody gave me a shot because Jeff Hardy flies all around, he crashes with things. Well, he didn't expect me to be smarter than the average wrestler. And in a couple days, I've got another match where nobody's giving me a shot. Because Rob Van Dam, you're right, you got a shot at Starrcade. But man, you're not Tank Toland." And I'm going to remind everybody why Tank's the sexiest wrestler in WCW, and why I'm going to be the man in this business sooner or later. And Van Dam, you can try to hit me with chairs, you can try to send me through tables, but Tank Toland's baby going to run through you. 1, 2, 3. So Tank Toland and his manager Dawn Marie is cocky, even though like one could say they really didn't deserve the win in the first round, but here they are in the second round in a big match against RVD in a couple days on Revolution as it gets 62. And now it's time for our main event, as it's Booker T versus AJ Styles. And the match is back and forth, and early on, Booker T's a little cocky, as he just sort of throws around AJ, but AJ fires back. Big fighting, big suplexes from Booker T, but AJ fires back with some high flying, and AJ even hits some quasi power moves of his own. AJ does some high flying, but eventually keeps things somewhat grounded because again he's now trying to be a top guy in the singles division, but he hits the moonsault DDT and goes for a Styles Clash, but Sharmell distracts, which allows Booker T to get advantage again. Booker T goes for the bookend, but AJ fights out of it. AJ again hits a few more big moves, but Booker T fires back, hits the side suplex, hits the spinneroonie, hits the axe kick, and actually goes for the bookend, but AJ slips out, but Booker T wallops again with the axe kick, and actually hits the bookend for a near fall for a 1, 2, and AJ kicking out just before 3. Booker T is shocked, hits him with a big backbreaker, goes up top for the Houston Hangover, but AJ rolls out of the way. AJ hits a few big moves, and then Booker looks like he's going to go for the bookend again, but AJ fights out of it. Hits the forearms out of it. Hits Booker with a few big moves, rolls through, Styles Clash, 1, 2, 3. Oof, they didn't click. That's really freaking unfortunate. Okay. That's really unfortunate, and that might kind of kill our show. That's not great at all. So backstage stuff, Booker offered to put AJ over, so that sort of and this happened after I actually set up the tournament. So again, some backstage stuff. Booker was originally going to go over here, but he offered to put over AJ after this is some weird the game knows what you're doing sort of crap. But I had already I hadn't even booked the tournament in game. I just booked it in my booking sheet, and Booker was going to go over, but he offered to put AJ over. So here we are. And unfortunately, they didn't click. That's really unfortunate. And post-match, AJ celebrates. And this gets... Okay, I mean, still an 84, so not like the worst show ever. But sort of like a little... Like, yeah, I mean... That's really... I mean, again, it's not like upsetting, because like AJ still got the win here. But still kind of, shocking here that AJ, they didn't click. Which sort of also changes some booking plans around also. So yeah, fun stuff. Let's see if anything weird happened. Okay, sure. Jackie relocates. Why is WC going after ROH? That's hilarious to me. No reading the title. Gilbert Taylor's frustrated. Okay. Is he a regen? He's a regen with basically no skills. Okay. Interesting. Oh yeah, first let me double check. Okay, medical. Yeah, I mean that's what I expect. He just has an injury. Fun stuff. Let's see what Raw did. Okay, Raw had Chris Benoit Big Show match. A video, Shawn Michaels being attacked from an angle, Jackie and Ivory winning a tag match, Raven Scott Steiner drawing with Steve Richards and Devon Dudley in a 75, Brock Lesnar winning a squash for 91, Jericho promo, Foley promo, Jod Bradshaw, DDP and Hall defeating Christian, Buck and Bryan in 79, Will Regal defeating Randy Orton in 92, Undertaker and Big Show defeating Chris Benoit and Triple H in 99, and Shawn Michaels defeated Jericho, Angle, and Edge in a random 4-way in 99, which got a 90 overall. Interesting. So yeah, I mean nothing terrible as a result of that, but still, that's unfortunate. As a quick tournament update, as we're going to the Elite 8, it's Paul London versus To Be Decided, AJ Styles versus To Be Decided, Ox Wright versus To Be Decided, and Brother Wright versus To Be Decided, and we'll decide that all in a moment here on Revolution, and I'll be back with that in just a moment. And now, welcome everybody to Revolution, live from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we start off actually earlier tonight, or actually earlier today, as the sun is still out, as Home Legacy are arriving in their, nice limousine, Helms with the world title, Reno, Cash, and Amber O'Neal behind them, and immediately Eric Bischoff, along with WCW security, is here, and he basically tells them, look, Helms, I know what you're planning tonight with RVD. You're trying to screw him over just like you screwed over Hardy, and that's just not going to happen, okay? So, enjoy your night off, go back to the hotel, party, hang out, watch the show, but that's what you're going to be doing, watching the show. You're not getting involved. Hans is like, you think I care whether or not Van Dam advances? I'm the world champion, Bischoff, if you don't remember. Which proves I'm the greatest athlete in the sport today. I don't need to get involved for a loser like Van Dam to lose. I'll be sitting, yes, in my expensive hotel room on a fine leather couch that my WWE contract is paying for as the WWE World Champion, doing absolutely nothing, watching the guy you're having me face at Stargate fail once again. And only prove that I am the greatest world champion in this business today, and there's nobody in that building who can beat me. Absolutely nobody. So, enjoy the show without your world champion. And then they get back in the limousine, and right away, putting over that Hart Legacy will not get involved in RVD's match tonight, as this gets in 84. Yes, we got Bischoff involved, so there we go. But still, fun stuff as we start cleaning this off. Then we have tournament hype tonight, first night, which is Chuck Palumbo versus Rey Jr., RVD versus Tank Toland, as previously mentioned, Eddy Guerrero versus Jamie Knoble in a match of heel versus heel, and in the main event, Kanyon versus Kidman continuing their feud, which has been going on for the past couple months. As that gets 68, and we're out to the ring for our first match, which is Rey Mysterio versus Chuck Palumbo, and Chuck Palumbo actually, I wouldn't say dominates the match, but he throws around Rey Jr. He tosses him around. He does big boots, big suplexes, big slams. Raven Rain, his new paramour, is involved, actually choking Rey Jr. on sort of the ring apron while the referee's distracted. But Rey Jr. Makes his comeback. Does his fiery babyface comeback, hits some high flying moves, but it really looks it's going to be too much as Rey is going for a springboard off the top, but Palumbo catches him. But as Palumbo is swinging around into a power slam, backbreaker type of thing. He actually knocks the refs like out with Rey's boot, and the ref is out. And as the ref is out, Sean O'Haire makes his first appearance on WCW since losing the world title. Comes in, wallops Palumbo from behind, picks him up, Widowmaker, boom. That was Rey Jr. to get up, hit his finisher, and 1, 2, 3. Rey Mysterio Jr. advances in the tournament. Palumbo is out, and Sean O'Haire has made his return to WCW after getting screwed over by his former best friend. This gets a 75. Rey gets a 92. Palumbo gets an 89. I'm going to guess, let's see here. Okay, like, yes. Stamina, poor gimmick, lack of heat from the storyline. So, yeah, but still, not the end of the world or anything, but still, fun stuff. Yeah. I'm guessing also, that seems weird, that was also it. Great gimmick. Poor gimmick and stamina and all that. Interesting. Anyway, still 75, so, like, not terrible or anything. Still a really solid match. And post-match, O'Haire is on the top of the ramp. He looks over to Palumbo's bike, which is, sitting there after Palumbo got off it, as part of his entrance, and he goes over and just kicks it right over as the crowd cheers, and O'Haire walks to the back as Palumbo is held back by his new old lady, as he to put over that Sean O'Haire's got a measure of revenge over his former best friend, but this is far from over as this gets an 82. Then we go backstage where Barash is with RVD, and, RVD says, I don't care whether Helms is in the ring or not, man. I'm looking forward to kicking his ass at Starrcade. More importantly, I got Tank Hill tonight. And Tank, yeah, thanks to a lot of help, you got the win over Jeff Hardy. But that's not going to happen tonight. Because I'm going to remind you why I'm RVD, why I was the biggest free agent signing in WCW history, and why I'm going to become world champion at Starrcade. Well, I'm the Mayhem champion. So this gets an 84. As RVD walks away, as he put over, he has the big match tonight versus Tank Toland as part of the Mayhem tournament. As we go forward to a non-tournament match, as we got our women's tag match, as a bout of decent wrestling, but didn't have much heat. European Disunion defeated Celine Cartier and Jordyn Cole at 8-17. So what happens here is basically, solid back and forth match between these two teams who are both, big members of the women's division. But Nattie Neidhart actually comes down the ringside and starts to argue, tries to basically just distract the European Disunion. Disunion goes after him. That allows Cartier and Cole to actually talk to Nattie, try to get her away. Nattie starts to argue with Celine Cartier, and they actually start pushing each other. Nattie's on the ring apron, and she's pointing over at the heels. Nattie, Celine is trying to tell her go back, and not get involved. Nattie gets upset, and Celine's trying to talk to her, and Celine turns around and walks right into an icebreaker, which is her, I guess it's sort of a modified backbreaker from Cartier, and European Disunion get the big win over Cartier and Cole. As this gets a 58, we see Busek gets a 49, Cole gets a 57, Cole gets a 51, Celine Cartier gets a 64, and post-match, the heels walk away, with a cocky sneer on their face, as Nattie tries to apologize to Celine, but Celine pushes her. Nattie pushes her back and starts to argue back. But Roni Jonah comes out and tries to make peace, but then Jordyn Cole gets involved as the heels continue to Stinger at ringside. And looks like all three of these women are very upset. All three of these teams are still getting involved with each other. As this gets a 55, as the little feud storyline here continues. And then we have a post-match promo with Kanyon, as he says, all this year, I've been fighting to keep my place. And little SOBs like Kidman have been trying to take me out. Well, Kidman, I hate your ass before, and tonight, one more time, I have to prove nobody's better than Kanyon when I kick your ass in the middle of that ring and walk into the Elite Eight of the main tournament. And I want to win that tournament and prove that I should still be challenger for the world champion. And nobody's better than Kanyon. As it gets an 83, and we move forward. As we have Eddy Guerrero versus Jamie Knoble in a match part of the main tournament. So, and this is sort of, not quite the same thing as sort of the heel tag team match we had on Nitro, but Eddy and Jamie, because they're both heels, ironically, there's some blatant cheating right at the start, but eventually, like, it's just two guys, like, fighting like hell to get the advantage. And unfortunately for Jamie Knoble, Eddy Guerrero might actually be a little bit better now that he doesn't care about the fans, as he's able to get the advantage. Like, we get some, like, Knoble actually locking in the guillotine choke again, but Guerrero fighting it out of it. Knoble going for his, like, trailer hitch, but Guerrero getting out of that. Guerrero going for a big, like, sort of, like, Tiger Bomb, but Guerrero reversing into a Frankensteiner. Knoble hitting some suplexes, but Eddy fighting back. Eventually, Eddy actually gets the advantage as Knoble goes for another hold, but Guerrero turns into a lasso from El Paso. Knoble eventually fights out of it, but Guerrero's ready, and like after a quick forward from Knoble, reverses it. Blue Thunder Bomb, Three Amigos, Brainbuster, up top, Frog Splash, 1, 2, 3, as Eddy advances into the Elite 8, as Eddy gets a 91 and Jamie Knoble gets a 90 and over 80, and overall the match gets an 84. And post-match, Eddy celebrates the boost of the crowd as Janssens put over. He has to be one of the favorites here in the Elite 8 of the Mayhem tournament at the pay-per-view, as this gets a 68. Fun times. And post-match, we're backstage where AJ is like, recovering from his match from it. Rey is recovering from a match earlier tonight, and AJ walks up to him, exchanges a handshake, and says, like, he says, "I'm looking forward to facing you at Mayhem." And Rey's like, "Look," and Rey's like, "Kid, AJ, you're a great wrestler, and we faced off before, and you got me at Great American Bash, but I'm ready now, and I'm looking forward to a great battle." As they shake hands, as yes, it's going to be AJ versus Rey in the Elite 8 as part of the Mayhem tournament, as it gets a 73, and we move forward. And then we have Joanie Laurer saying, there is no competition anymore. And it comes after being gone off TV for a few months, or I guess almost a year at this point, is Beth Phoenix. Announcers put, her over as a great competitor who is the first WCW Women's World Champion, and who decided she needs some better seasoning before she had need to compete with the new athletes. Now it looks like she's back here, at least for one night here in WCW. Laurer laughs at her, says this: "Yeah, you're the women's division champion when there is no actual competition. So come get your beat down." As Beth comes in and just starts firing shots at her, and the match is on, as this gets a 72. And unfortunately for Beth, in the actual match, she lasts a little longer, but still sort of proves why she's down on the in our dev territory, as she does a little bit of brawling with Joanie Laurer, but Joanie eventually takes advantage, throws Beth Phoenix around, kick, powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. Another successful victory for Joanie Laurer, as her punishment does not seem to be like much of a punishment from Eric Bischoff, as she gets a 94. Beth Phoenix gets a 42, which is terrible, but still, not great. And post-match, Laurer hits another powerbomb, and then screams out, "Nobody, I told you, Bischoff, this is my division, this is going to be my title until I want to give it away." As she walks away, as this gets a 68. Then, basically another version of the Trisha Sky training video, along with cuts of, her feud with the Lizzie Dumas and her backup, as, basically putting over the big match between Trisha Sky and Lizzie Dumas at Mayhem. This gets an 84, and because, hey, it's Trisha Sky training video. That's actually what you sort of imagine. And you're seeing this is happening. So Tank Toland comes out, RVD comes out, and as RVD is coming out of nowhere, somebody attacks from behind, puts him into position, and hits a cradle pile driver on him. As he starts to realize, wait a second, that's Jerry Lynn. What the hell is Jerry Lynn doing here? And then he picks up RVD again, and then hits him again with a cradle pile driver. As he's just completely laid out, the announcers are shocked. They sort of quickly surmise, wait, has Shane Helms paid off Jerry Lynn, RVD's old opponent, longtime opponent in the Barbed Wire City, to attack him before this match? And WC officials will finally get down the ringside before Lynn is kicking the hell out of Van Dam, which is completely laid out. As Lynn is taken, basically carried out of the ringside area, as Lynn is just already just laid out, and officials try to push take RVD back, but he pushes him away and heads down to the ringside, obviously hurt, as the match goes on, as this gets a 77, and Jerry Lynn makes his debut with an old enemy gimmick, which gets adequate, but not the end of the world. But unfortunately for RVD, this is probably not his best decision, as, well, okay, that should be, I don't care. Unfortunately for RVD, he's like, this is basically like RVD comes in with like injured by a house of fire, but Toland like takes him apart. And after like a couple minutes, like obviously like RVD is just like not ready. Like he's basically unable to compete. As the youngsters like try to stop the match, but like first RVD like stops him from ringing the bell, and then Toland like just goes on the attack. And after a few minutes, like Toland hits a few big moves, hits his like sort of big lariat quasi finisher, and just pins RVD 1, 2, 3 to make another shocking win, another shocking advance in the tournament. And as you expect, backstage, RVD was not happy about this, like because again, you can't quite like put over. No, this is setting up your pay-per-view match, which is going to be bigger than me part of the tournament, but the game doesn't get this, so time for me to do some more paychecks. Anyway, RVD gets a 93 because he's great here. Toland gets a 55, another huge win for him as this gets a 70. And post-match, Toland and Don re-celebrate to the boos of the crowd as this gets a 57. As the announcers put over, what a huge, like, this is a disgusting victory for Toland, but still, it's a massive victory for him. And afterwards, we put over sort of like the Elite 8 as it stands. Eddy Guerrero versus Rey Jr., Paul London versus Kidman, Brother Ray versus Tank Toland, and sorry, lost my train of thought here. And in the final Elite 8 match, it'll be yeah, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. It's going to be right. It's going to be Kidman. Sorry, it's going to be Paul London versus the Kidman Kanyon winner, not Paul versus Kidman. Sorry, my bad. Well, then they have, so again, these guys have another banger of a match, as is Billy Kidman and Kanyon. Basically the same, like sort of same thing I went over at Havoc. Like Kanyon always going for the Canyon Cutter, Kidman pushing him off, Kidman going for the Kid Crusher, but Kanyon reversing it. Lots of other like US Pro style moves. But in the end, Kidman gets the chair involved, hits a Kid Crusher on it, pulls the tights, and gets the big victory here on Revolution to advance into the Elite 8, as this gets a 95. Kidman gets an 88, Kidman gets a 93. 95 overall, and a huge victory for Billy Kidman. And overall, this gets an 88, so really solid show. And yeah, there we go. As this rolls through, let me see if there's anything news, and then we'll go over the tournament standings for you guys, and then go from there. Any interesting? Nope. Okay, nothing too exciting. So there we go. In 1 minute, and I'll show you guys the standings. So first, in our update of the Mayhem Tournament predictions, at the bottom we've got Cameron and Shook at 17. We got the World Championship person, but that is the name of their prediction at 19. We've got Just Frank 101 at 22 and Seductive Stable at 26. Now, thing is, if this is still anybody's game, because nobody had basically all four. Basically, nobody had anywhere close to a majority of the people in the Elite 8. I think at best, maybe, I think Sable had 4 people, but anyway, I have to double check that. Regardless, like, everybody has some people who, like, everybody has a chance to get a lot of people into the Final Four, and, maybe someone picked the winner, or maybe nobody did. But, I'll go over that, and again, so this is still anybody's game, because remember, 3 points was the points for winning second round, right? 5 points will be the points for winning the Elite 8 winner, and of course, you get 10 points if you pick the winner completely. So it's still, anybody's game at this point, but anyway, that's it for that. And let's go over the other news in the game so far. So we've got first WWE, which I'll show you guys here. Where is it? I guess Ernest. Okay, interesting. I forgot he was on him. not a contract anyway. So WWE also had SmackDown. So SmackDown had TNA defeated Saturn and Al Snow in their sort of never-ending feud. Molly Holly defeated Cherry Slice in a 78. Raven DDP and Hall defeated Val Venus, Stephon Dudley, and Shelton Benjamin in an 81. William Regal defeated Cody Hawkins in squash. Triple H defeated Dick Densmore in squash, which got an 89. Scott Steiner defeated Christian in a 90. And Brock Lesnar and Chris Jericho defeated Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in a round of 99, because of course it was a round of 99. So fun stuff for that. So I think, let me just go to the news, because I think there was a couple of big shows I wanted to show you guys. Also, Kira Morita was injured, she'll be out for 6 months. Too bad for her. Oh, Jesus, actually. Oh, right, this is all the injuries. Never mind. I was like, why is there so many injuries? But yeah, I'm just literally. So results from this month. Let's see here. I could have sworn. Let me see. Let me go back all the way to. Okay, I thought there was a big show this week that I didn't show you guys, but I guess not. Okay, well, I guess I'll show you this real quick just because it's fun. MLW had another show. They had 700 people or so. Mark Murrow versus BG James was the main event. Adam Jacobs defeated Dave Flair in the semifinal. Ron Harris, Jerry Lynn, and Eric Paris defeated Violent J, Johnny Grudge, and Glacier. And then, yeah, so that's an interesting show. So I guess that's not actually. I thought there was another big show I was going to show you guys, but I guess not. Nope. Okay, never mind. That was my fault. I was wrong. Anyway, on to other stuff. So we had an NWA Wild Side. So as far as so for the TV show, we had Travis Tomko, Trevor Rhodes, and Stone Mountain defeat Bola, Ortez, and Daz in a 46, and probably the 90th time they've had a six-man match. We had Jason Cross defeat Matt Morgan in 53. The Seekers of Sin defeated Kay Grice and Marcus Militech in a 58. Akabono showed up to and team with Cassidy O'Reilly defeat Shane Ballard and Lazarus in 59. And then on the weekly house show, we had Kenzo Suzuki defeat Matt Cross by DQ in a 50. We had Claudio and Ryan Jargo defeated Siaki and Rayman in a 54 on the pre-show. We had Travis Tomko, Kent Cole, and Matt Morgan defeated Shannon Ballard, Ortiz, and Daz in a 51. We had Jimmy Raven, Rick Michaels defeated Kay Graves and Marcus Miltech in a 62. We had Shane Ballard defeated Chance Prophet in a 65. And yeah, that's about it for what matters to us. And then for their big show, we had Kenzo Suzuki and Matt Morgan teaming up to defeat Matt Cross and Ryan Drago in a 42. We had Sun Siaki defeated Bobby Lashley in a 47, as Lashley continues to learn. We had Claudio defeating Rain Man in a 54. Tony Jones defeated Dagan Brink in a 47. Chance Prophet defeated Kent Cole and Keith Walker in a 58. Shannon Ballard defeated John Phoenix in a 61. Seekers of Sin defeated Chris Rumble and Marcus Miltech in a 67. Akabono winning a triple threat to retain the NWA National Heavyweight title. And John Combo being involved in the four-way for the title, but losing. So fun stuff for that. So there we go. And then for our women's Fed, we had ODP defeating Alton Danger in a 51. Niho Saka defeated Ariel in a 64. We had Cheerleader Melissa defeated Beth Phoenix to retain the AWQ Championship. And we had Anti-Authority defeated Social Sheen to retain the AWQ Tag Titles in a 59. So fun times for that. And then for HWA, we had HWA having, right, I showed you guys this last week. Always confused. So for the weekly show, we had John Cena, Jorge Estrada, Barry Bradburn, Jeremy Jacobs in 838. Where John Cena was the best competitor. Yay for him. Ricky Shane Page, Joel Grunge, Justin Lee defeated Corey Castle and Club Deluxe. Andy Douglas defeated Alex Shelley. Rocky Romero defeated Ken and Ivan. Capsule and Shark Boy defeated the Cyber Squad, which is again Adam Pearce and BJ Penn, which is funny, in a 53. And we had Scott Vick defeated Excalibur in 52. Chuck Taylor defeated Ekman Fatu, and Max Striker defeated BJ Whitmer. And then for OVW, we had OVW, let's see here, Mitch Page and John Morrison defeated Johnny Spade and Size Scraper. So that's interesting. Mafia and Tom Will defeated Too Tough Tony and Shaggy Two Boat. Danny Jordan defeated Steve Bradley in a mid-2000s developmental showdown. Christy Ritchie defeated Miss Natural. Maven and Joey Matthews defeated Silent Solution. Rico Constantino defeated Hyzane. Homicide and Spiky defeated A Squad. And Justice defeated Joey Ryan in a 68. So fun times. And I think that's about it. Like, yeah, nothing else is really going on storyline wise again. So Mayhem, we still have we have Shane Helms versus Jeff Hardy. We've got the Elite Eight. We got what do you room for the tag title match and other fun stuff going on. So yeah, but again, like this was like sort of a more of a pure wrestling show for both shows, so not a lot of angle. So this is a little shorter than normal since I didn't have to like talk for minutes upon minutes going over promos, but still fun stuff as we got still Trish Sky versus Lizzie Dumas, and also the big matches for Mayhem, and we've got sort of the setup for the Elite Eight with these guys, probably lots of fun tag matches for next week. But that's it for now. So if you enjoyed the show, go ahead and leave a like, comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying, and subscribe to the channel for this TEW content. But that's for now, so talk later, and adios. Have a good one.